Lexi and Taryn, when did they feel like this could be special as a coach? Because you said it the other day, I heard the locker room deal on OSU Max. You wouldn't want to do that 100th victory celebration with any team other than this. When did you feel that could happen?
Honestly, I don't, early I didn't really know. I knew as a basketball team we had really good players and good pieces. But I felt immediately this summer that it was a special group, and just the camaraderie, the chemistry, the fun that we all have together. I felt that immediately this summer when everyone got on campus.
From a competitive standpoint, at some point they had to show you, okay, these girls have got the moxie. I know they've had the ability, but and they can work well enough together on the floor. When was that?
I think that really happened for me when we went to Cancun and we beat Florida State, who is now ranked. We had 3 really tough games back to back to back. So we knocked off Florida State, and then we beat Harvard in a convincing win, and came up short against Purdue. But man, I could see the grit, I could see the toughness, and could just tell that we were a really good basketball team.
I don't know if you've ever coached or played in a triple overtime game, but what do you as a coach learn from that about your team?
I have never been in a triple overtime game, so that was my first. I was just so proud of our kids because they just had to dig so incredibly deep to find a way. To be honest, we were not at our best. I thought that we made some really silly mistakes on both ends of the floor. But I would just say I personally, with this team, just kind of learned what's going to work from an execution standpoint, what I want to go to, who I want to go to. We were kind of running out of options that game because it was just like everyone at that point, was completely exhausted or maybe had their moment at any given time in the game. So I just learned, I would say, just as far as game management, where I can be a little bit better and put our kids in a position to be successful.
You're sitting on 19 wins. 20 is sort of a benchmark around college basketball. Is that something that means anything to you, or is that just something for us to talk about?
It's something for y'all to talk about, but we'll definitely take it. We have just been so focused on going 1-0 every single game, and that's ultimately what got us to the point that we're at right now. And every game from here on out is going to be as tough as any of them. We got ranked Iowa State coming in here, KU with their place. Every game is going to be really, really tough. So we're just focused on going 1-0 every game.
From a dramatic standpoint, the schedule couldn't fall better. You and Iowa State are tied for third. It's Bill Finley, well-respected veteran coach.
Yeah.
Got a good team, as you mentioned, ranked, coming to your place. That's a great setup. Hollywood would write the script that way.
Well, I would even go a step further and just say, because of the respect that I have for Coach Finley, I grew up on him. I remember watching his teams when I was in high school and have just admired his work ever since. So it's very surreal for me to get to be on the other sideline going against him and have a tremendous amount of respect for him, but also feel like I'm ready to be home and get him in our place because it was a close game there. We were a little bit shorthanded from sickness. They were also shorthanded. They had just lost their center. And I think we're both in a different place right now than we were that first time. So I'm excited to get them back home.
What have you learned about your team in that game since you guys won a lot of games since then?
Oh gosh, we've just gotten so much better. I think because we had so much inconsistency from injuries, from illness, we just couldn't really get a rhythm. Didn't really look like that against Tech. I think coming off that off week, we had to shake a little rust off. However, coming off the Baylor game, I kind of was thinking, okay, finally we've got that continuity that we didn't have before, and pieces are starting to click. Cassidy, has played really well. Taryn had been playing really well. We just got everyone on the same page and clicking together. So I think we've just gotten better. We've gotten smarter defensively. I think we're a much better defensive team than we were that first time around. And then I think offensively, just that continuity that I mentioned.
How important is it to protect your home floor like you guys have been able to do this year?
It's so hard to win on the road that when you get to be back home, you got to create that same environment for your opponent and want to protect it. So I can't wait to be back. The energy, our last home game against Baylor was electric, and I'm excited to hopefully have that again on Wednesday.
Kind of similar with Marshall. I mean, you played your last 2 home games. You're playing ranked opponents. I mean, how big is that for you, and kind of continue to build this fan base?
Yeah, it's huge. It's awesome. I feel like we're getting to the place where we're playing our best basketball, and that's where you want to be at this point in the year. And so to get those quality opponents at this time, that's how we want it. You know, we don't expect it to be easy. We don't want it to be easy. And I think that it's going against those top-ranked teams that just make it that much more exciting and fun for us as competitors to really be challenged to be at our best and find ways to step up and compete. So we're looking forward to it.
As a coach, talk about this, and you said this to Marshall, and I think it's true. This team always was able to score from the first day of practice. Talking to you and the other coaches, you know, there were ways to score, but the defense was something that really had to come along. As a coach, how do you push those buttons? Because whatever it is, you pushed them well because they are playing so much better defensively.
They are, and to our players' defense, you know, we recruited scorers, and we had a lot of new faces on this year's team that they're all coming from different backgrounds. You know, maybe some of them played zone, maybe some of them played a pack line, we're trying to mesh. They all had scoring in common, but we're trying to mesh those backgrounds and those defensive habits. And I think that that's kind of just what we're seeing is just we're finally getting to a place where their habits are changed and they're really understanding our system and what we're trying to do.
With as many fifth-year seniors as you have, was it ever difficult to make sure that they were buying into the big picture? Because it would have been easy for some of them to say, I'm just going to go play one more year and have fun.
Absolutely, and I think that's the risk that you take when you get a fifth year, right? Are they going to be completely bought in, or are they kind of just going to make this about them? And, you know, if it's going well for them, great. If not, you know, I'm basically out of here. So I think that that's a risk that you take, but I would say that in the recruiting process, I could feel from them, you know what, coach, this is my last year. I want to make it really special. I want to go out on top. I want to play in an NCAA tournament. You could feel that in the recruiting process. And I've never coached a group with as much urgency as what these fifth years are playing with right now.
What differently have you seen from the buy-in off of Scott's question? Kind of from Cassidy and Trinity, who aren't getting as many minutes as the other fifth-year starters?
Well, winning is above everything. So as long as we're winning, we don't really care what it looks like. We don't care, you know, who's scoring it. We don't care what the minutes look like. Of course, human nature, you want to be, you know, in one of those roles. But this team is just so special because they understand that we're just better together. And everyone has different gifts and strengths and weaknesses. And we're doing our best to position our kids to be able to play to their strengths and cover up those weaknesses. But I think that they just really understand as long as we're winning, nothing else matters, and we're winning right now. And no matter what their role looks like within that, they're just really embracing it.
What kind of things do you think Lior brings to the table for you guys off of the court?
Well, off the court, I think that she just brings a tremendous work ethic. She's a gym rat. She lives in the gym. We've played games and she goes in the gym and she shoots after she doesn't feel like she had a good game. Like, that's the mindset that she has. She approaches the game and her craft like a pro. And I think that she's really been able to show her teammates what that looks like and get them to, you know, get in the gym outside of just practice hours, because that's what it takes if you really want to be great at something, right? You can't just do it during practice. It's got to be outside in those unrequired hours, as we call them. And I would say that's the biggest thing that I think that she brings to our team off the court.
With Taryn, she seems to do a lot of things really well. If you're going to, not necessarily rank them, but what's at the top for you when you look at her from a coach's perspective?
Gosh, that's a loaded question because she is really good. She's playing really well. I wouldn't take another point guard in the conference, honestly. Because she does so much. It's not just her defense. You know, defensively, She has the toughest defensive assignment from a guard standpoint every game, but offensively, she's our engine. I mean, if she's not going, we're not going, and so she's just that engine that ignites everything for us on both ends of the floor. And it's just been fun to just watch her, get that fire within her, because when she's playing with that, she's the best player on the floor, I think.
From a personal standpoint, when you first took the job and you had your press conference in here, the introductory press conference, I mean, you looked comfortable and you looked like, hey, I can build this program. But whenever anybody takes a new job, I mean, there's that anticipation and anxiety. How's this going to go? Now that you're to this point, I mean, do you go home sometimes and look in the mirror and say, this is good. I mean, because everybody has to pat themselves on the back at some point.
Sure.
Because a lot of times nobody else is.
Yeah, I mean, I think that anyone has those doubts or fears in the back of their mind. Anyone, not just basketball coaches, but the players. I mean, all of you probably in your jobs, you question yourself at times and ask yourself, can I really do this and be successful? But I would just say that it's important for me. I really hang on to what got me here. I've been successful my whole life, not because of me necessarily, but because of the people around me. And I've just learned, I've just learned that, if you surround yourself with good people and you work incredibly hard, and have that self-belief that you can accomplish a lot of things, I've been able to do things at a young age, again, because people have given me opportunities. But I've done it. I've done it as a player. I've done it as a coach now, and I just think it's really important to have that confidence and self-belief. And I'm thankful for parents and a very fiery mom who showed me what that looks like. Not just as a female, but as a female in a basketball coaching role, what that looks like.
Have you told Bill Finley that you were in high school when you started watching him? And if so, how does he feel about that?
I have
He's
actually.
old.
I have. No, and he's been so good to me. I mean, he texted me on Saturday, congratulating me on my 100th win. That's the level of respect that we have for each other. And the thing that makes him so special, in my opinion, is he truly cares about women's basketball, and he's been a trailblazer in a lot of ways for the game. And so he just wants the game to be successful. Of course he wants to win, and he's going to want to beat me, or anyone he's going against, but he respects the game, and he wants to grow the game from a parity standpoint. He wants to grow the game from a fan base standpoint for all of us. And that's what he's done. And I think we both just understand that that's really kind of a mission that we're both on.
Did you ever go to his camps?
I did not go to his camps.
Okay.
No.
We won't say that.
So I've heard a lot about how great Claire is as a leader. What does she bring to the team on the court? Because it's not necessarily her role to get out in the outside and shoot, but against Tech whenever she can, and in warm-ups too. She's just as good as anyone at that.
Yeah, Claire's our emotional leader. I think if you ask any one of our players, who do you look to the most for leadership, they're all going to say Claire. She just brings that maturity. She brings that experience, that confidence, that poise. She's going to say the right things at the right time. Obviously, she is just a great player, right? She can do a little bit of everything. She's going to be able to defend, she can rebound, she can shoot it, she can drive it. She's just really solid across the board. But I think the thing that sets her apart is her leadership.